What's going on, people? Welcome back to another Draco X Vlogs. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, also comment on the channel as well. So today, another dark day for Spurs. Spurs lost to Forest 3-0. The exact same Forest that has been for four managers already this season, and is also in our situation, trying to stay up. First, I'd like to say make sure the ownership, sporting director, CEO, recruitment, scouting, all of his higher ups leave, as well as his manager as well. Because his manager messed didn't messed it up today. He messed it up today. And as it stands, we are in big trouble. We are basically, to say it as is, we're basically relegated. We're in the championship. I know we're not in the relegation zone. We're lucky today that Villa decided to start winning and beat West Ham 2-0. But at the same time, we cannot have Forest, who just beat us today, or West Ham drop points because it's been over 3 months, almost 3 months, without a single Premier League win in 2026. How can you go from nicking a draw at Liverpool, where we could have easily beat them, to being Atletico Madrid 3-2 and going out of Champions League, to behaving like that after 45 minutes against Forest and losing 3-0 not only once but twice, both at their ground and our ground? We got lost in the trees trying to stay up, and looks like we're going to get relegated. And we also, with looking into the manager, this manager should be relieved of his duties as soon as possible, because he is not the guy trying to keep us up. And thankfully, we have 2 weeks to recover because we have the international break going to, and we should be having more of our players back. But even with more of our players back, all of the players that we have right now and coming back, they just wanted to give up and just show no effort in, even though you can say the majority, the first half, we actually showed some effort. But most of these players said they want out soon, and I don't kind of blame them. But at the same time, if we're not winning anything this season, and the least we can do is try to stay up. But however, we got a manager who doesn't know the Premier League that well, and we haven't won any single game besides that one Champions League game in the Prem. But now against a match quickly. First half, I thought both Forest and Spurs played pretty well. They had their own chances, just that Spurs weren't clinical enough on goal, and Forest were taking opportunities to test our keeper. And it looks like it was going back to end, and there was times that we could have had some penalties given to us. But at the same time, we need to make sure we were clinical enough to score the goals. Seeing good play from Archie Gray. He played pretty well in the holding position for the majority of the first half. Then we had Porro actually going forward on the right wing. This manager decided to make it 4-4-2. But however, that did not work in the end. However, we didn't have anyone to start shooting on the net, into the back of the net, or at least trying to test their goalkeeper. And Forest weren't even that good, so they were there for the taking. We could have at least got something out of it. But at the same time, given our home record, it was going to be hard being Forest at our own ground. And we could have gone to halftime with either a clean sheet for both sides, or at least one go up, but we screwed it up in the end because if we gave Forest a set piece, it's close to the end of the half. And the first one they almost scored off of us immediately. And the second one everyone was just ball watching their striker. And the striker just had an easy header and just went straight in the back of the net, and we went down 1-0. And I don't know what happened in that dressing room, but the second half, we were just all over the place. Just fell apart just like that in the second half. Forest nearly scored 4 minutes after the second half kicked off. We did make some changes, but however, there are players that I'm looking into the field and looking at players such as Slanky, did nothing all game, and it was anonymous. You also need to look at Pedro Porro or maybe one of the center backs, even Sar. They weren't doing well either, and Porro was just spamming crosses. And we surprised we didn't even make an attacking change in the half. The manager brought on Udogi, and he brought on Bergval in the second half. And again, no changes happened. Nothing from us progressing the ball forward and at least trying to test the Forest keeper. We had more shots than Forest. However, we weren't testing the keeper. We weren't having shots on goal until the end of the second half, by the time we were 3-0 down. And then the second goal conceded. Again, we allowed Forest to have a nice cross in the box. Gibbs White converts the shot. And Vicario went back to his Boza ways. I thought Vicario played well for the majority of the game until the second goal we conceded. It just went straight through his legs. That could be easily savable. And we were down 2-0. And then the third goal was almost exactly the same thing. We just gave Forest substitute striker there an easy tap in from across. And no defending. Looking to the players that they're not even trying after the second goal winning in the majority of the second half. They're not even trying to at least try to salvage the result. And I'm looking to our next fixtures we got. And none of them are going to be easy. And I know we're going to have more players back by the time we come back for international break. But majority of the time, whenever it's an international break, most of the players just fold because they want to get their heads ready for the World Cup as well as playing for their own international teams. I tell you, all these performances that they've been playing, they're definitely holding bench on their national team or even the worst case, getting excluded from their own national team because cannot excuse these performances we had today. And after national break, I'm not sure if we can even see a win. Got Sunderland away next, then followed by Leeds at home, Wolves away, Brighton at home, Villa away. Then we got Chelsea, and then end off with Everton. I'm not sure if any of these games we got from April until May, we can see a wins. And looking at West Ham, who are 18th, we're now, after we lost to Forest 3-0, we're now 17th. Because we were joint with them on points before we played that match. But looking at West Ham, who are in the relegation zone, they could get something out of this. They could get a win or even pick up points. And if we keep on losing games here and there, we are getting relegated. But it doesn't matter. We already heading to the championship anyway, and majority of players aren't playing, as well as the people in charge that haven't been prioritizing improving the squad to at least try to be more ambitious and compete. They kind of deserve it at this point. And even if Spurs didn't get relegated this season by the sheer of their teeth, what makes you think they won't even try to flirt in a relegation zone again next season? So I'm looking to it. Regardless of where we beat Forest or not, we still need to get more wins, and we still haven't got a win in 26. And I'm looking at myself thinking, regardless of what happens to Spurs, if they're a championship bound or not, might as well just tend to stop supporting Spurs. Might as well move on to a different team to at least show some ambition and to at least get over the line. All right, it is what it is. Every one of the players should consider what they should do to at least try to improve their performances going to this international break. They need to think hard. But thanks everyone for watching. I'm out. Another disgraceful performance, just rolled over easily after 45 minutes. But other than that, almost 2 months till this nightmare of a season is over. Peace.